Well, we've just had lunch. How was your lunch? What did you have for lunch, Josh?
Excellent. I had a Texas barbecue pizza to celebrate your arrival and your performance today. We've had a bit of pizza.
See, this is why you should invite me to your workplace, because then you get a pizza lunch for everyone.
Exactly.
And what was your drink of choice? Let's understand, Josh.
I've tried to balance out the Texas barbecue pizza with a bit of H2O, so I'm trying to be good.
Okay, so you had water.
I did.
Didn't go for any of that Fanta.
No.
None of that Diet Coke.
No, a nice cold glass of H2O. Perfect. Perfect.
That's very important.
Sensible.
Very sensible. And that's all the hard-hitting questions done, Josh.
Excellent. Are we done?
No. Now we're going to ask the serious questions. I've got a list of questions on my phone.
Great.
To make sure we cover all the important points. First of all, I need to introduce you because you are Josh Price.
I am Josh Price.
You're Head of People and Operational Development here at Away Resorts. And I just have one question for you. What is Head of People?
So what is a head of people? Well, I'm the people's person, and
not the people's princess.
I'm not the people's princess. I'm the people's person.
Okay.
And along with the team, we look after our colleague experience in its entirety. So looking at ways that we can attract talent to the organisation, retain talent, develop our talent, reward our talent, all whilst making them feel embraced and included.
Okay, so you've got quite a big job.
Yeah.
That's what a job description that is. Okay, so one of the ways you make everyone feel embraced and included here at Away Resorts is that you have let me get this right, you have a diversity and inclusion strategy.
That's right.
What's one of those then when it's at home?
So our diversity, equity and inclusion strategy is a framework that guides our commitments.
Okay.
So overarching and sort of guiding that work is our statement to embrace everyone. And then underneath that statement, there are three sort of pillars of work. The first pillar is celebrating our superpowers. So we sort of acknowledge and accept that everyone comes with different life experiences, different perspectives, different preferences, and we sort of bundle that up as superpowers.
Love that.
So the first pillar is about celebrating and embracing and championing those superpowers. And then the second pillar to the strategy is learning together. And that's about us sort of pumping education into the organisation to help them have more of a perspective on the differences within the world. And then the other side of that is inviting our colleagues to share their perspectives. So, we hear a lot in the media about calling out this, calling out that, but our aim is to call people into conversation, actually, so that we can open up conversation and hopefully everyone walks away more rounded and better informed.
That's incredible. So you're obviously welcome to everyone.
Yeah.
And a major part of that is encouraging people to understand, have empathy with each other, learn about everyone, learn about different experiences, which is sort of what you want to experience when you go on holiday as well, isn't it? You want to learn about new cultures, learn about new people. So you bring the holiday vibes into the workplace environment through your diversity, equity and inclusion policy.
Absolutely.
I love that. Sorry, did you want to say more?
No. Well, I was going to talk about the third pillar because it's
the third pillar. Go on.
Three pillars.
Did you only just talk about two pillars then?
We only spoke about two. So we've got.
Do you know what? And a very important part of this strategy is to listen. You need to listen to each other. So that's the third pillar.
So we've got celebrating our superpowers, we've got learning together, and then the third one is a commitment to our commitments.
I love that.
So we've got 12 commitments, and those commitments guide the way that we interact with each other and the way that we work. And we ask all of our colleagues to sign up to those commitments. So they're the three pillars: celebrating our superpowers, learning together, and then a commitment to our commitments.
A commitment to our commitment.
That's it.
Did you come up with that phrase?
Together. We came up with it
collectively. Of course you did, because we work together here at Away Resorts. But as your role as head of people, king of people, if you will, what part of that strategy are you proudest of?
Do you know what? I wouldn't say that there's any part of that strategy that I'm proud of the strategy in its entirety, but what's more important is the output of that strategy. So about 12 to 18 months ago, we put together a DE&I steering group, and the work that we introduced to the organisation is guided by that group of colleagues. And then we monitor the success of that steering group through annual surveys and listening groups. So while the strategy is super important to sort of frame our priorities, it's much more about the outputs and kind of how it's landing with our colleagues.
And so how are you finding that it's landing with everyone?
Great. So as I mentioned, we formed our D&I steering group about 12 to 18 months ago. One of the main pieces of work that they were tasked with delivering was the D&I commitments. So that's helped shape a lot of our work. And then as a sort of extension of that, the first big thing that we introduced to the organisation about 6 months ago was a brand new family leave policy. And that family leave policy looks to give enhanced leave to primary carers, as well as secondary carers, actually. So eligible colleagues can now have up to 6 months paid leave if they're a primary carer, and then 4 weeks leave if they're a secondary carer.
That's amazing, because that's often something that's overlooked, isn't it?
Exactly.
And I think it's quite easy to forget, because of the way that our society and our culture has been built, that equality comes in lots of different shapes and sizes, and everyone's deserving of equality, no matter their place in the work environment or their place in the family environment.
Yeah.
That's a really cool thing. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah.
That's really exciting.
So yeah, that's landed particularly well.
Oh, that's fantastic. And so people are taking advantage of
Absolutely.
their new ability to go on family leave, I think.
Go on family leave when they're expecting, and then an extension of that, which I think is just a nice little touch.
Yeah.
After you've had your little one, you get your first family holiday for free with Away Resorts. So I think that's a nice touch as well.
Joe, well, that's worth having a kid for, isn't it? A free holiday. That's
Exactly.
brilliant.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I know what I'm doing when I leave here. Not trying to have children. Right. When you are hiring, all right, serious now, Josh.
Very serious.
When you're hiring people for away resorts, and I imagine across the whole workplace, how do you ensure that you are hiring people who represent the diversity of our society, but you're also hiring the people who are the best people for the job?
So I would say much of that is guided by our D&I commitments. So the D&I commitments talk about recruiting in a really fair and equitable way. So making sure that we're recruiting based on individual merit, experience, skills, rather than through our individual biases, which exist and they are really, really hard to detangle. But the D&I and the commitment work sort of guide that recruitment process. And then sort of beyond that recruitment process, when people are welcomed into the organisation, one of the things that they're required to do within their first 2 weeks is attend a session called Welcome Fest. And in that session, we talk about our commitments and what we expect of our colleagues. So it kind of flows through, from the recruitment process all the way through to induction.
Okay, that's incredible. So in the process of hiring, you said that you detangle your bias.
Yeah.
And I'd really like to know, if you are happy to talk about it from a personal perspective, what does that mean? Like, how do you actively not bias a situation?
So I think it's really difficult, and I don't think that it's necessarily. I don't think we're fully formed in our ambition to detangle bias. It's a really hard thing to tackle, as you can imagine. From a personal perspective, we all hire people that are like us. And all of the research shows that. So I think being aware of that is a step forward in and of itself. So understanding that you're more inclined to recruit people like you, and what does that mean for your recruiting decisions? And then I think having several eyes on the recruitment process as well, bringing in different opinions and different perspectives, without making the recruitment process sort of overly arduous or long, bringing in those different perspectives so that you deliver a really well-rounded outcome.
Okay, that was a good answer, John.
I'm glad.
Because it's very difficult to not be biased, because as human beings, we're constantly having to make decisions based on somebody's appearance, somebody's behavior. So to actually look at a recruitment process and not bring any of that human nature into it must be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, and as I say, I don't think we're there yet. I think there's still ways that we can formalise that recruitment process to try and take out some of the bias, but the rest is to be done through education.
Absolutely. And the fact that you're not there yet, so you're constantly striving to improve and change the process, That's really important because that means we're not done yet.
Exactly.
And awareness
Plenty
of things.
to be done.
Exactly.
Plenty to be done.
And having an awareness of the things that need to be done, that's a huge step in itself because so few people actually are conscious of that. We all think we're perfect and we're not. So you sort of touched on this, that how you have Welcome Fest and you use the DEI strategy. I'm almost
It's all very corporate.
We use the DEI strategy to help people find their place and move forward with the company. Is there anything else you actively do to support someone who is, say, from an underrepresented group that might need a little bit more support and encouragement in that process?
Yeah, so we're really fortunate that a lot of our senior managers, especially on park managers, they come from non-academic backgrounds. So we encourage and put quite a lot of effort into developing sort of really practical skills for our teams so that they can accelerate through the organisation without an academic background and become a real success. So there's quite a lot of work that we put into our skill development. We do bags of work on apprenticeships, which is great as well, so we can get them back into academia, even in the workplace. And then we've got an affiliation with a company called Whittle, which is Women in Hospitality and Leadership. And they focus predominantly on providing training and development of skills for women in hospitality, but also women from underrepresented communities. And we've had that affiliation now for about 5 years. So we do lots of work with them. They hold us to account. They challenge us in a really, really productive way. We sort of push our agenda through Whittle, which is great.
Well, that's really exciting because having an outside eye is really helpful, isn't it?
Yeah. So something that we're introducing this year, Whittle, they provide a service that allows you to understand as an organisation where you're at on the maturity curve. So where are you in your D&I journey? And that information is gathered through surveying colleagues. So the aim is within the next 6 months for us to get that survey out to our colleagues so that we can understand where we are in that journey.
And are you nervous about the results? How are you feeling?
Not nervous whatsoever. I mean, all of the data that we can gather will only allow us to be better. So no, not necessarily.
Oh, well, because there's no negatives really, is there?
No.
Even if you don't get some of the results you're hoping for, there are ways you can improve.
Exactly.
And if you get the results you're hoping for, you can have your own personal pizza party.
Absolutely.
How about that? Somebody else's treat, but my suggestion. So, how long have you been at Away Resorts?
I just celebrated my 4th anniversary.
Fourth anniversary. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. What role did you start in here?
So I joined as a people advisor.
Okay.
So I entered the organisation sort of doing lots of coordination and administrative work. And I've sort of, worked my way up through the business over the last 4 years.
Amazing. So you have been supported by this whole process.
Yeah.
And so how has the motto embracing everyone been the motto the whole time you've been here? Is that something that's come in recently?
Yeah. No. So we brought that sort of label or strategy in about 2 years ago.
Okay.
So we hadn't done much in the DE&I space up until that point. We surveyed our colleagues, we got some insight, and then out of that came the DE&I strategy with the tagline "Embracing Everyone."
Okay. And how has the introduction of embracing everyone as sort of a strategy or a policy, how has that helped or affected you?
So I think Away Resorts are really fortunate, actually. We've got 3 values, and that's to be attentive, amazing, and to be a lover.
Yeah.
And those values naturally encourage us to be really inclusive.
Yeah.
So I think while the strategy has helped us develop our work, I think it was already embedded in the business, actually. Okay. I think, the embracing everyone and the D&I strategy has just accelerated it and given it a bit more bite. Yeah,
and also giving everyone focus.
Exactly.
Because quite often when you have these conversations, people go, well, of course. Why wouldn't I think that? I'm a human being.
Yeah.
But actually, when you think about having to implement those things, then you can actively go, oh, actually, I can improve that.
Exactly.
Or actually, look at how great we're doing. This is fantastic. I'm feeling more embraced now.
Exactly.
So that's fantastic. And I had another really, really, really insightful question for you, Josh, which I've actually forgotten because I distracted myself. So if you'd like to answer a question that you think I was going to ask you, go ahead.
I think that you'd like to ask why it matters to me.
That's a good question. Why does it matter to you, Josh?
It matters to me because so if I think of myself personally, I'm always looking to gather different insight and different perspective because I want to be as rich a person as I can be, and I want to share as rich a perspective as I can. And I suppose who doesn't want to make someone feel included? So it's important to me because I want everyone to feel the sort of liberation that being included brings. So it's important. That's why it's important to me, because I want everyone to be able to experience that.
I love that, the liberation that being included brings. That's poetic. It's almost like having Dylan Thomas in the room, isn't it? Crikey. And my final question is, how do you think this in the workplace, embracing everyone, the DEI strategy, how is that then reflected on your parks with the public?
Well, I think in us communicating clearly what our expectations are, in us asking our colleagues to sign up to the commitments, that will naturally flow through to the way that they provide service to our customers. And I hope that they're providing service in a way that aligns with our D&I commitments, so in a really inclusive, embracing, involving way.
Amazing. So everyone can go on holiday and feel comfortable being who they are.
Exactly.
They're in a away resorts park.
Exactly.
Wow,
Exactly that.
Josh, it's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
I'll leave you to go and head people somewhere else, be the head of people and operational development and transmogrifying the business experience. I think that was the full I lost interest halfway along.
That's about right.
I think it's about right, isn't it? Yes,
Yeah.
I used some of the right words and some of the right order.
Exactly.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Josh.
very much,
Lovely to
Ramaji.
chat.
Thank you.